Hey everybody, it's Michelle LaVore and
Devin LaVore coming at you.
And we're so glad that you're here, and we just pray that you guys are blessed by what the Lord has to share today. And today we are going to be going over Act 1, Scene 48. So just this last
of the
week.
restoration play of our lives.
And as a reminder, the restoration play is a love story. It's God's heart of love coming down upon his people to restore our hearts and our lives. And so that's what we're going to be covering today. And but before we begin, as always, we want to give a huge thank you to everyone who continues to give to us and support us as we continue to just follow the Lord and do what he has us doing. And
all of our NASCAR sponsors out there.
Yes. As we race around the track.
We got a lot of stickers on our car.
Yes. Yes. So huge thank you to all of you. And if you would like to give, you can. We have a PayPal link below, and you can just click that. So we are going to start today. It was kind of fun this last week. We got to making just the extra videos. It was so cool. Yeah. I love it when the Lord just...
There were other videos I wanted to make too, but I was just like, well...
Yeah. Let the Lord lead.
That stuff might come out in this video. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. But it was just a lot of fun to be able to just share again with you guys just what God is speaking and saying.
Yeah,
and
it was really cool.
So we're not going to be covering those topics really in this video, but really from this last week, I really feel that God began and ended the week with once again talking about resurrection. And at the start of the week, we had read a Psalm 85, verse 6, and you can go ahead and just read that.
Okay. Will you not revive us again, that your people may rejoice in you?
And so it's a very simple verse.
Kind of takes me to Jeremiah 33:11 about reversing the captivity.
Yes.
Psalm 126, reversing the captivity so that there can be rejoicing in the house of God.
Yeah. And that, of course, was something that the Lord, he really spoke to us throughout this whole week, has been a lot about just bringing back hope and reviving his people. And then last night, or I think it was the morning God time, but basically kind of ending our week, we just had all these songs of resurrection and the Lord speaking to resurrection over really the nation, but also over our family. And so it was just, as I was going through and journaling yesterday, I was just seeing, wow, Lord, you've kind of bookend this week with the scene 47. Wait, what scene are we on? 48.
48. Scene 48.
I get confused with the scene. Scene 48 was just this idea of resurrection and you coming to revive, and you're coming to bring life and hope and restore. And because we also had... earlier this week, it was Ezekiel 37, and the Lord again was speaking to, my people, Israel, they've lost hope. And it's like, that's what he's coming back. What he's doing is he's coming back to restore hope, restore those things that were lost, restoring life, restoring hope, and restoring joy. Yeah. And just even restoring people's faith and what he has said and what he has spoken, and
it's going to be epic.
The truth of his word. And so that was just one section.
It's kind of like the theme.
Yeah.
And then there was all this other stuff that was woven in. I really didn't expect to make a video until today. Yeah. But then the Lord just started giving us stuff, and I kind of wanted on the topic of resurrection. I wanted to talk about kind of like what we got yesterday in regards to it kind of ties into I know we said we weren't going to talk about those videos, but it kind of ties in.
Rehashing.
Yeah, we're not going to rehash.
Going back through what we've already said. We can always tie things in.
Of course, we can weave it together. So today's video is going to be super short. You see the timestamp already. You know that's not true. But anyways, it's a LaVore video. You need to sit back and chill out. But no, seriously, I want to read through this portion of scripture in John 11, and I want to share some stuff that the Lord's given to me. He's like, I feel like the Lord's given me a couple different prophetic words regarding resurrection, and he's like, listen, I am speaking this to you. You know, and it's like, and so we ended up going to John 11. So let's just go into it, and we'll just pull out the things that we were getting from it. Sound good? Because I don't have notes. But it says, now a certain man named Lazarus was ill. He was of Bethany, the village where Mary and her sister Martha lived. This Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with perfume and wiped his feet with her hair. It was her brother Lazarus who was now sick.
Oh, and just so you know, we are reading the Amplified Classic Edition.
It's the only anointed version, so...
Just so you know, and this is,
right,
of course, John chapter 11.
So the sisters sent to him, saying, Lord, he whom you love so well is sick. Now, regarding like recent prophetic things that have been spoken by many prophets regarding things that maybe we thought should be happening right now, but aren't, clearly not happening, you know, there came a point where we saw, like, wow, Lord, the thing that you spoke, it looks like it's getting sick. And it looks like it's actually dying. But no, the Lord spoke it, so it's going to happen exactly the way the Lord wants it to happen, you know? It's getting sick, so let's just, you know what? Let's just keep praying. Let's just keep sending it up, keep declaring the word of God, right? And we're calling out to you, Lord, saying, Lord, this thing that you prophesied over, you know, it looks like it's getting sick. Okay? When Jesus received the message, that means he heard you. He always hears. If you get anything from this, just know the Lord always hears his people. He hears. But listen, when Jesus received the message, he said. Someone out there say, he said. Thank you. I heard it in the spirit. No, it says, this sickness is not to end in death, but on the contrary, quite the opposite. It is to honor God and to promote his glory, that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Now, Jesus loved Martha and her sister. I gotta stop right there. You see the purpose? You see, the Lord's like, I hear you, and here, let me tell you what I'm going to do and the purpose for why I'm going to do it. You hearing me? That's what I'm telling you. All right, so now we're going to chill out and stay here for 2 more days. Now, Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. They were his dear friends, and he held them in loving esteem. That's something also the Lord's been speaking about friendship, and how he wants friends. But therefore, even when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he still stayed 2 days longer in the same place where he was. Wow. It's like the Lord did not show up and do what we wanted him to do. It's like, but he said it was not going to end in death. But anyway, then after that interval, he said to his disciples, let us go back again to Judea. The disciples said to him, Rabbi, the Jews only recently were intending and trying to stone you, and you are thinking of going back there again? Wait a minute, hold on a second. You got this word from the Lord. It didn't come to pass. It caused damage and woundedness, and it's like people are trying to stone you and make you apologize for your prophecy and all that, and now you're going to go back to that same prophetic word and believe in that prophetic word? And are you sure you want to do that? Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours in the day? Anyone who walks about in the daytime does not stumble. Those who walk in the light are not tripping over the things I'm saying. Those who are being led by my spirit, they're not tripping over the things I'm saying, even though their minds might be tripping. but you know, they're like, well, I'm just going to embrace it. I'm not going to trip over it. I'm just going to embrace it and just go that way, because that's the way the Spirit of the Lord is taking me. You see what I'm saying? That's what Jesus is saying. He's like, this is where the Spirit of my Father is taking me. This is what I'm going to do. Anyway, anyone who walks about in the daytime does not stumble, because he sees by the light of this world. But if anyone walks about in the night, he does stumble, because there is no light in him. The light is lacking to him. Man, I could preach on that. I'm going to move on. Hope you got something there. He said these things and then added, our friend Lazarus is at rest and sleeping. But I am going there that I may awaken him out of his sleep. The disciples, hearing all this, answered, Lord, if he is sleeping, he will recover. However, Jesus had spoken of his death, but they thought that he referred to falling into a refreshing and natural sleep. So then Jesus told them plainly, Lazarus is dead. So here we go. You get a prophetic word from the Lord, and things are getting weird and trippy and messed up, and because remember, at this point, the disciples at this point of this particular story, they don't know that Lazarus is dead. They just they're hearing something.
He was sick, and and then Jesus had gotten the message. They knew that Jesus said, "Hey, this is not going to end in death."
Yep.
And basically, that's just where they're at. They don't know any more information.
Yeah, and it's like, and notice that they thought they knew what the Lord was saying. You can go back to what the Lord said. He said, this is not going to end in death. Fast forward, obviously, the death of Lazarus was not the end of the story. Okay? But it's like, for them, it's like they had a thought about what the Lord was, so this is what you mean. He's just going to sleep. Oh, that's cool. That's great. And the Lord said plainly, no, he's dead. What do we get from this? We get from this that the Lord is not wanting us to be guessing and speculating about what he's saying. That's not his heart at all. He's like, the Lord told them plainly, Lazarus is dead. Like, I want to give you plain, clear, decisive Ephesians chapter 1, Ephesians chapter 3, revelation on what I'm speaking so that you can know. Because how can you put faith in something you think I'm saying? You can't. It will not stand. And so God's heart is for us to know the truth. And of course, then he said, Lazarus is dead. And now they're really messed up, because they're like, what? You said that this wasn't going to end in death. Now we, the 12, are now confused and messed up in our heads. Now we are tripping. So then Jesus told them plainly, Lazarus is dead, and for your sake. Someone say, for your sake. And for your sake, I am glad that I was not there. I'm glad I didn't do what you wanted me to do. We've been through that a couple times, haven't we? We've been through that a couple times. Like, okay, if God's not doing what I thought he was going to do, even what he said he was going to do, man, I'm so bummed out. No. We've learned, whoa, wait a second. What are you getting ready to do then? Because whatever you speak, it does not return to you void. Wow, what are you getting ready to do? Something that's outside of our understanding, outside of our thinking, outside of our what we think you mean. You about to do something epic. It says, and for your sake, I am glad that I was not there. It will help you to believe. However, let us go to him. Then Thomas, who was called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, let us go too, that we may die, be killed along with him. Along with Jesus. They're like, well, Jesus is going to get stoned to death. Well, let's just go. It's fine. Let's just do it. And see, that's a true follower of the Lord with all of their imperfections and quirks and features and issues. They're like, well, if Jesus is going, I'm going where he's going. And if I die going where Jesus goes, then I die going where Jesus goes. Come on now. I'm speaking to somebody out there. So when Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus, had already been in the tomb 4 days. Bethany was near Jerusalem, only about 2 miles away. And a considerable number of the Jews had gone out to see Martha and Mary to console them concerning their brother. Now see, the Lord has prophesied a certain thing, and it seems to have died. And particularly in our nation, a considerable number of people are bummed out and disquieted and discomforted, and just they feel like they've been in a faith accident. You know what I'm saying? It's like our faith has just been crashed, you know, and it's just like, how is this even possible? I'm disoriented. What's my last name again? You know what I'm saying? It's like when you get in a serious trauma of some sort, it messes with you, you know, and I just thought it was interesting that when I read that, it was like a considerable number, like a considerable number of people. And I think that just speaks to a lot of people. There's a considerable number of people right now that are just, they don't even know if they can trust in the prophets of God, or am I hearing from God properly myself, and all that. And it's kind of the test that the Lord said, that this is what I'm doing. I'm testing you. I'm sifting the body. See who's going to believe what I said. Well, here I am at night when I normally edit my videos, and I realize this part of the story in John 11 I really shouldn't have skipped through, because I felt like the Lord was reminding me, like, hey, do you remember this? And I was like, yeah, I do remember that. That would have been really great to remind me in the middle of the video, but it doesn't matter, because when you guys are watching it, it's all one thing anyway. Right? But anyway, I just wanted to discuss this one part from the story of the stuff that I just eventually skipped earlier today, because it's really actually significant. And I'm like, wow, God does work in weird ways, right? He could have reminded me then, but he just reminded me that now, and so I'm having to make this little insert into the video we've already done, and it is about the timing of the Lord and what he's speaking. You know, you look at the thumbnail, right, and it says resurrection. The title is, I am doing what I said I'm going to do. You know, and as things have been prophesied lately regarding, you know, our lives and national events and whatever, and how they've gone different than what we thought they were going to, people have been speculating like, well, maybe in a couple years we'll see some changes. And maybe that word from the Lord is for a couple years from now. And the Lord's going, nope, nope, and nope. So I'm going to continue from John chapter 11, starting in verse 20, where it says, when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him, while Mary remained sitting in the house. Martha then said to Jesus, Master, if you had been here, my brother would have not died. Lord, if you had been here, the prophecy that you said would have actually come to pass, and we wouldn't be dealing with some of the stuff we're dealing with right now, right? And even now, I know that whatever you ask from God, he will grant it to you. So she was basically like saying, even now, you know, even now, like if you can do anything. I think there was a measure of faith right there for Martha. She's like, even if you could do anything, that would be super great. But I know that, you know, God does whatever you want, but it's like, man, what are we going to do now? And Jesus said to her, your brother shall rise again. That's what the Lord said. In the same way that he said, this shall not end in death. That's exactly what he meant. So at the edge of their grief, in comes the fulfiller of promises saying, I'm coming to do exactly what I said was going to happen. Okay? He said, Jesus said to her, your brother shall rise again. Martha replied, I know that he will arise again in the resurrection at the last day. See, so in that sense, it's like she had already kind of given up hope for right now. It's like, oh yeah, okay, well, thank you for that comforting word. That's true. That's true. He is going to, I am going to see him again later on. But the Lord is thinking, no, I'm talking about right now. Okay, I'm not talking about a couple years from now we'll see that word fulfilled. I'm talking about right now. Jesus said to her, I am myself the resurrection and the life. You don't have to wait for that moment later on, because that moment later on that you're talking about, Martha, I'm the one that's going to be doing that. And I'm right here right now. So I'm telling you right now, you know, it's like it says, whoever believes in me, although he may die, yet he shall live. Although the thing that was prophesied, the thing that promised, the belief, the dream, the vision, all that, although it might seem to have died, and it might actually be dead, if I declare it to be alive, if I come and say, no, you're going to live, then it's going to truly live. That's basically what the Lord's saying. He rules over death. And he says, and whoever continues to live and believes in me shall never actually die at all. Do you believe this? She said to him, yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, right? And so one of the things I wanted to say was like, back in 1998, the Lord called me to go to YWAM. I had only known the Lord for, not even a full 4 years at this point. And I knew I was leaving. I just didn't know where I was going or what was going on. Or I just knew the Lord was packing me up, so to speak, packing up my spirit. I'm sure many times you guys have felt that, or, that sense of like, wow, my whole life is getting packed up. I'm getting ready to go a different direction, but I just don't know yet where that's going to be. Well, eventually it ended up being YWAM, Youth with a Mission. And basically, at that time, I needed the equivalent of $1 billion, which is basically what it was for me. It was like $3,000, basically what I needed for my school and for my mission trip. And I was like, dude, I don't. There's no way. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this unless you help me out. And I had a church that I was with, and I just knew that they were going to support me. They gave me $50. I was like, wow. See, that was my Lazarus dying. I was just like, Lord, if you would have shown up and put it on the hearts of the people to give to me, then I could just get the money and I go and I do the thing that you wanted me to do, right? And the Lord's like, no, I'm glad it didn't happen the way that you wanted it to go, so that when it does happen, I will get all the glory for how it actually comes to pass. And my word to you that you are going to go to this class, this September 1998 discipleship training school, you're going to be there. And I'm just like, Lord, I don't have the money. I don't even, all of my relational options are gone. They're like, they're not giving to me. How is this going to happen? How is this going to happen? Well, since that was my death point. My church gave me like $50 for real. It was actually $250, but it came from a friend who didn't really go to the church. 200 of it came from a friend that didn't even go to church that much, and 50 of it came from someone I was really close to in the church. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. How is this going to work? The church itself gave me $50, and that was from one family who really just loved me, And I'm just like, wow. That was my death point. It was like, it's dead. There's just no way. I can't go. And so I began to reason within myself. It's like, well, maybe what the Lord wants me to do is go to the next term, the next class, the January 1999 class, maybe. And right away. Now listen, this is Devin at like almost 4 years old in the Lord. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, even then, the Lord's like, he's like, nope. I'm saying now, no. Martha, I'm not saying your brother will rise again then. You don't even need me here to tell you that. What? Well, I'm the Messiah, and I've come to tell you stuff that the scripture has been telling you guys for hundreds of years. You don't need me for that. I'm here to tell you that he's going to rise again right now. That's what I'm trying to get into you, but I get it, all the grief and everything that's going on. You just need to see it. I see. But that's where I was at. I was just like, I have no idea how this is going to happen, but the Lord was like, no. And this is what the Lord said to me. He's like, no, Devin, I want you to go to the September 1998 class. He said this. He said, in fact, if you don't go to that particular class, you might as well not even go. And I'm like, wow, that's heavy. And so I was like, okay, well, if God from heaven is saying that's that class at that time, that's the geographical, chronological moment for me, then it would have to take God, because I had literally no possible way to get there. I mean, literally everything was dead. Everything it was sapped up. Nothing. The brook Kerith was dry. You know what I'm saying? Where's my widow? Where's Zarephath at? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, what are we gonna do? And so long story short, I ended up connecting with someone who was from the church I was at, but he had already left to go to Wisconsin. And I was telling him, like, man, I have no money. I'm dead in the water. And he said, no, buddy, you need to come up here because I've been telling people about your journey, and people here are interested in your journey. Now, man, you have to understand, at this point, I was on the eastern shore of Maryland. And this guy's telling me to come to Wisconsin. And I felt like that was the open door that the Lord was giving me. I'm just like, all right, here we go. I went to Wisconsin. The whole time the Lord was with me, and he was speaking to me and ministering to me about it. And I'm like, wow, this is totally unexpected. Imagine that. God moves to fulfill a word in your life, and he does something totally unexpected that you did not even imagine. It wasn't even in your realm of possibility, right? Go there. I talked to the church. I literally got there on a Sunday, but I didn't talk to them until the next Sunday. And then, lo and behold, they literally gave me quite a bit of money. And if they gave me enough money to where that and the $250 that I had, I think I used that for a bus ticket to get to Wisconsin. So basically, when I got to Wisconsin, I didn't even have my $250. You know what I mean? And so they gave me enough money for that, plus my last check from my job, and it fulfilled literally everything I needed. I'm like, wow. But this is the thing. I was hoping maybe to get like a couple $100. I was like, if I could get a couple $100 from this place, it'd be super awesome. I don't know where the rest is going to come from, but God's clearly moving. That church gave me almost $2,000. Now listen to me. For me personally, back at that time in 1998, that was like, I'm not kidding you when I say it would have been like the equivalent of somebody signing me over $1 million check. That was the level of awe I had regarding that level of like, wow. Wow. See, I'm glad for your sake that I wasn't there. So that when you do, I didn't show up the way you would think would be a great logical way for me to show up. So that when I do show up, you will believe, and you will be in awe, and you will be amazed, and you'll be like, wow, God can do anything. He speaks and performs his word. Not only that, but if he's speaking a specific thing and he's saying, no, I'm talking about resurrection now. Not later, not a couple years from now, not on the next term, Devin. No, I'm talking about right now. I'm doing everything I said I'm going to do right now. It may not look like it, but you know what? That's part and parcel of the package that I'm working in your life so that you cannot trust in yourself or other things or events or reports, or you can only trust in what I'm telling you. Do you know me? Do you hear me, what I'm telling you? Well, yes, Lord, I do. Well, then go on my word and my word alone, and you will see the waters part, and you will get exactly to where I want you to get to. And I did. I got there. Man, it was the best time of my life. It's like in the top 5 best times of my life, apart from being married and seeing my kids born. You know what I'm saying? It was like amazing. And everything, man, let me tell you something. Everything the Lord told me about that experience, relationships, everything about it totally came true. 100% came true. But it was in his timing and his way. A lot of times we want God to move right now, and he's saying later. But then other times we think, oh, well, God's not going to move till later. And he's saying, no, I'm moving like right now. And so I just want to throw that in there to let you guys know that, like, we feel, even though Michelle's not here with me right now, she's watching the little guy in there. But we feel like the Lord's saying resurrection now. Like this thing that he's spoken regarding the events of the past several months and a year or so. It's like, I'm doing these things right now. Don't look to the left or to the right or to death and say, oh, well, death is conquered, so I guess it's done. No. Look to my word and my word alone, and you will see the victory. Okay? So on with the rest of the video. So Jesus said, and now I'm going to fast forward to verse 39. Mm-hmm. Jesus said, take away the stone. Take away the thing that's keeping this back. Listen, when the Lord steps on the scene for any reason, he is there to take away the thing that's hindering you. Mm-hmm. He is there to set you free. The very thing the Lord has been speaking to us about all day today. He is there to set you free. He is there to liberate you. He is there to release you and let you go. You know what I mean? If he shows up and he throws you in a pit, rejoice, because you're about to enter into your destiny. You know what I'm saying? If you get set up in Potiphar's house and you got some Jezebel woman trying to, relate to you, you need to rejoice, because God's about to set you up. You know what I'm saying? The word of God and the purpose of God in your life cannot be thwarted even by death. Jesus is the King of all kings, and King Death even bows to him. If Jesus steps in and says, no, this is what's going to happen. But I thought this was really cool. Take away the stone. Take away the thing that's keeping him backed in to this cave. You know what I mean? Martha, the sister of the dead man, exclaimed, "But Lord, by this time he is decaying and throws off an offensive odor, for he has been dead 4 days." Like, that's 1 day past the traditional cultural thing where the spirit's definitely gone by this time. The spirit might hang around for 3 days, but on the 4th day, the spirit's not there anymore. It's gone. It's like, you can't do anything. He's like, listen, you're going to do what I tell you to do or not. I would just love to hear the Lord speak just like that once. Anyway. You're going to do what I said or not. Anyway, Jesus said to her, "Did I not tell you and promise you that if you would believe and rely on me, you would see the glory of God?" Let's go back. And for your sake, verse 15, "I am glad that I was not there. It will help you to believe." What will help me to believe? I don't even know what you're talking about. It'll help you to believe when you see what I'm about to do. When you see what I'm about to do, it's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to be one of the greatest investments that the Father's going to put in your heart right now, in this moment, in this time, in this thing that I'm getting ready to do, that I'm going to show you. I'm going to wake Lazarus up, and when you see it, you're going to be blown away. He's like, "But he's dead. He's not sleeping." What are you talking about? You're going to wake him up. He's dead. He's not sleeping. Lord, do you know that? Maybe we shouldn't talk to him about it. Maybe he already, I don't know. Let's see. He does do weird stuff on a daily basis, so let's see what he's going to do today. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine the disciples just talking to each other? Anyway, so they took away the stone. They obeyed the Lord. Doesn't matter how crazy of a thing it was. They obeyed the Lord. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. Yes, I know you always hear and listen to me. But I have said this on account of and for the benefit of the people standing around. I don't need the faith boost or the understanding or the encouragement. I totally 100% am connected. I get it eternally. I don't need it. They need it. And I have come here as a consequence of their need. So I'm saying this so that they can see this is how it works. This is what it's like. It's a relationship, When he had said this, he shouted with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" And out walked the man who had been dead, his hands and feet wrapped in burial cloths. And what did the Lord say to him? Now listen, what's the Lord say to him? First word he uses. What's that word, Sweetie P?
Free him.
Free him. Free him. Come on now, the Lord steps on the scene to free.
Hey, well,
John...
Well, this kind of goes right into free him of the burial wrappings and let him go.
Let him go.
And we talked about just the whole getting dressed, like changing clothes.
Your clothes are about to change.
Yeah, because there is a free...
Every time I say that, it's freaking me out. I mean, there's like, your clothes are about to change. Boom, 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 boom. Fireworks are going off.
Yeah, because he needed to change his clothes. He wasn't dead anymore. He needed to have what people wore who were alive.
Like, Lazarus, I am so glad you're back. And now that we're here at the dinner table, do you think maybe you could go get changed, brother? Because you didn't shower after Jesus raised you from the dead, did you? You still smelling a little bit like,
No, but it's just like that sense of like the Lord is like talking about changing, talking about taking off those burial wrappings But yeah,
the clothing that identified you. Mm-hmm. See, the clothing that identified you. We said we weren't going to rehash. Maybe we were wrong, but but seriously, yeah, it does tie into that. Well, and it's like John 10:10. I was going to say John 10:10. The thief comes to do what? Steal, kill, destroy, to put in bondage. See, the enemy comes to take away stuff too, but he's taking away something good that God gave you.
Yeah.
You know, and replacing it with something evil and wicked and dark and nasty. Mm-hmm. You know, but the Lord's like, I come to give life, freedom, liberty, joy, peace. Mm-hmm. I've come to give you literally the desire of every single human heart. That's what I've come to do. The enemy's come to convince you that that's not good and that you should receive his stuff. Mm-hmm. You know? And so I really felt like that was like an important part of this week. It was a huge part of our week, mm-hmm. really. Just the resurrection and it individually, because we've done some individual things. You need to talk. You're going to talk about that in a second. There's been some individual resurrections and breakthroughs, and just no, I'm taking off the grave clothes. I'm going this direction. Mm-hmm. And then there's been some, the God speaking to the family. He's speaking to cities. He's speaking to the whole nation. He's speaking to the whole world. He's like, listen, I am getting ready to do something that's like you wouldn't even believe it if I told you. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be amazing. And for me, I'm just like, you know what, Lord, I hear you, and I'm gonna declare it. I'm gonna proclaim it. And I believe that there's been some things that have been prophesied for the past several months, year, about current events that are supposed to be happening that aren't happening, and the Lord's like, everything's happening exactly the way I want it to. Mm-hmm. It's going to end in me being glorified and my power and my ability getting the triumph. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen. And I'm like, well, Lord, I am on board. I'm all in for you. You know, if I lose, I lose. I'm like, what's his name? What does he say? He said, well, let's just go die with him. I'm that guy.
Yeah, Thomas.
It might have been a dumb, foolish statement or whatever. Some people say that it is, but it's like, based on what you've shared with me recently, it's like, that is what he's saying. He's like, well, if he's going to go and die, then we'll go and die. He's probably like, oh, I'm glad we didn't die. And it was totally the exact opposite of what Thomas was thinking.
Yeah,
that's
or even
very much
the
like
disciples.
Me. Yeah.
You know, because they're like, why are you going back there? Like, they were just going to stone you to death.
It's like, we're going to die. Great. Yeah. Sometimes you feel like that. You in the midst of a broken prophecies and things clearly happening that that are against the prophecy, and you're going back into it. And you feel like, well, I'm just going to die. I guess that's going to be the end of our channel. Mm-hmm. That's going to be the end of our support, and we're going to be done. And, you think these things. This is truth, or at least I do. You think like, well, that's the end, I guess. But I don't care. I'm going. Mm-hmm. You know, if the Lord says if this is the stuff the Lord's stirring in me, and he's like, I'm not just stirring it in you. Come on, let's overflow it. Let's get it out there, and that's what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. You know, and then it ends up being totally different than they said. Not only does it end up being totally different, it is like miracle of all miracles. You know, talking like Red Sea epic miracle. I mean, you know, and the reason I bring up the 3-day, 4-day thing, and I think that's why Jesus waited. I think that's why the Father waited, because the culture, even in the culture, it's like, well, you could maybe see somebody revive after 3 days. That was part of the culture. The Spirit could remain with the person for 3 days. That's just what they believed. I'm not saying that that's true, but even God knows our cultures and our cultural mindsets and what we believe and what we think. He will even wait to go beyond that. Mm-hmm. He'll be like, oh, you, I don't want you for 1 second thinking that, oh, I see how this happened. Mm-hmm. You're only going to see me, my heart, and my hand, and what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to declare this was God. Mm-hmm. Like, utterly God. There's no other explanation other than this was God. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I also wanted to like read verse 45, because it, that the considerable number of Jews that had gone out, and it says, like, upon seeing what Jesus had done, many of the Jews who had come with Mary believed in him. They trusted in him and adhered to him and relied on him. And so it's just, as you see, it brings honor to God and it promotes his glory, and that Jesus himself was glorified in it, because many were like, whoa, I am going to believe in the Lord. And I just think that
if we were sitting on the fence before, we're not now.
Exactly. And I do believe that the miracles that the Lord is going to be doing in nations, in individual hearts and lives and families, it's like what he is going to do is going to produce, is going to basically just the natural like consequence of it becomes salvation. You know, there is that great harvest. It's like when people are seeing, whoa, look at what the Lord has done. There is that repentance. There is the turning back and acknowledging that who God is. But also, like we talked about, personally, we were talking about this. It's like, but there are encrusted areas. You know, the Lord speaks about the scripture in Isaiah chapter 47 where the double river flows.
Oh, Ezekiel.
What did I say?
You said Isaiah.
Oh, Ezekiel 47.
You know, Noah, he let him out of Egypt. Moses sacrificed Abraham on the, on the altar of Mount Horeb.
But no,
Ezekiel. Wasn't it Jesus that came out the arch?
Where's the duct tape?
Oh no. That's the cheese of the sandwich. That's right there. All right,
anyway.
Ezekiel 47.
So Ezekiel 47, there's the double river that flows, and it says it flows into the Dead Sea. And we were talking about bringing dead things back to life. And so the river flows into the Dead Sea, and the result is that there is great life that comes out of it.
Teeming.
It says that there is so much kinds and variety of fish that is even greater than the Mediterranean Sea.
Yep.
And I just believe that God's like, when I come and restore life, when I come to the dead seas and your life in the nation's life, it is going to start, and I refresh it and I bring my spirit, it's going to produce and create a place that your heart is going to be teeming with life. The nation is going to be filled with life, and there's going to be fish of all kinds that you will be able to cast out your nets and catch.
Nations.
Yeah.
Ethnos. People groups. From everywhere.
Yeah. But then it does say, though, it's going to, that same...
The crusted areas?
Yeah, it's like verse that 11. River comes, but it says, but its swamps and marshes will not become wholesome for animal life.
That's the Pharisees right there.
They shall, as the river subsides, be left encrusted with salt and given over to it.
See, so they're going to experience it. Just like the Pharisees. They experienced everything Jesus had to do, but they weren't changed by any of it.
And so it's like, I think the Lord is just saying, like, don't be caught unaware, though, that there are going to be where people are going to see the miracles of the Lord, but it doesn't change the heart the way that it will do for some. And it actually, if anything, like it did with the miracle of Lazarus, it actually solidified and encrusted their hearts to the point where they were like, okay, now we are definitely going to kill the Messiah.
Well, let's look at what it says. It's not going to be good for animal life, the swamps and marshes. They shall, as the river subsides, be left encrusted with salt and given over to it. I mean, they're just completely given over to the enemy.
Yeah.
Just full blown. The measure of the cup is overflowing with wickedness. You know?
Which you see then with the Jews. You see that in the place where it's like, okay, they are just coming towards the Lord. And even in that, though, you see how the fullness of their wickedness comes out, but and then they're like, okay, they literally crucify Jesus, but then God's like, no, it doesn't stop there. There is resurrection power. But even when the Jews that had just been encrusted, they come against Jesus and they crucify him, the Lord is like, no, you do not have that power, that authority. And he, of course, resurrects Jesus, and it's above and beyond. And and so it's just like, and you see that, you really see how Jesus was the river of life. He comes in to this scene where it was like the Dead Sea, where there was no life. Lazarus had died, and he comes, and his spring of life resurrects Lazarus, and all the people that are around, they're tasting of the spring, that the waters that flow from Jesus, and it's like they're flooded with it, and it's like, how are you going to respond?
They're like, my life's changed forever.
Yeah, their lives were changed forever.
It's like, my life has changed forever.
Yeah, it brought life. Like Jesus said, I have come to give life. But for others, as it subsided, then they were just encrusted and given over to the saltiness. And
given over to it.
Yeah.
Meaning, like Jesus said in John chapter 3, they love the darkness more than the light, so they're not going to come into the light. And it's like and that word love is just like a sense of like worship, wholehearted, 100% commitment. They've given themselves over to the darkness, so expect that that's what they're going to be doing. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah. And so I just think with like what the Lord is going to do, I think as believers, one, we're going to see that there is just going to be a stirring up and a rising up of life and faith in many people, and just there is that large harvest and revival that the Lord is just going to bring forth. But you're also going to see, I believe, where those that are the encrusted, those are that in the swamps and the marshes, that will also experience and see the Lord move, in the sense that they are going to see it and witness it. But I think that it's going to also be a place where I want to use the word like double down. Like it's like there's going to be just this
fortified,
fortification of just like, nope, this is where we're going to be, and now we're really going to come against and try and destroy the light. And so I think that maybe that the Lord is...
It's interesting because they committed to that dark path, and they crucified the Lord, and then they even tried to make sure he wasn't going to get raised from the dead. He got raised from the dead and all that stuff. It was the end. It really did mark the end of that Pharisaical culture. It was like it was done. I mean, yeah, they went on for probably a couple more decades or something like that, just doing it. But it began when Jesus was raised to life. That system began to die. You know.
Yeah.
So that's just what's going to happen. So you can prophesy great things to your children, and even maybe see it yourself before you go. That's like, I think there's certain systems and structures, the way things are right now, they're just going to die. They're going to begin to die. They're already on life support. People trying to... Anyway, I'm not going to go there.
So I think that part of what God is sharing, and I just believe his heart is like the Lord wants us to see the full picture of things.
Yeah.
And I think in the full picture, God is like, there are going to be lives changed by what he does, but to also not be caught off guard when maybe a person that you thought, oh my gosh, I think this could change their life if they hear you testify, and actually it seems to do the complete opposite. And it's like, so to not be surprised by those things, but just trusting the Lord and what he's doing and how he's moving. And so it's like to know that, it's like the Lord, he doesn't want us to be unaware. He wants us to see his heart in everything that he's doing and how he's moving. And, you know, it's just, God is going to come and he is going to do a mighty miracle. And I do believe that there is going to be a great, great harvest. And we are just going to see a move of God that just hasn't been seen for generations.
It's like when Jesus came on the scene, no one had seen that. No one alive had seen anything like that. They'd heard about Elijah and Elisha and all of that, but up to that point, what did they have? They just had, you know, life with the Lord. Not that that's boring, trust me, but for the Lord to come into town with all of his circus trailers intact, putting on a show, no one alive had seen that. No one.
Yeah.
I would imagine if that had happened, there would be like probably no Pharisees. I don't know. Who knows? You can only speculate. But they hadn't seen anything like that. And who knows that maybe we're literally getting ready to see something just like that. The Lord's going to come into town with his camels. Instead of a circus train, it's a camel train. An envoy of camels. And it's just, he's going to come and he's just going to be doing amazing, miraculous, supernatural things that just put the spirit of life back in us, you know, to just take us out of our, I've been seeing right now this door. I don't know what it is, but it could be the doors to the banqueting table or not, but I just keep seeing this door as we've been going for like 20 minutes now, where it's just like, it almost looks like a picture that you'd find at a Christian bookstore or something, but it's like this door that's just like, it's just open, you know, slightly cracked open, you know, it's actually double doors, huge, and on the other side of it is just this huge amount of glorious light. You can't make out what's beyond it. And it's like, I just feel like that's, again, I feel like the Lord just confirming and touching on another video we did about just, he's getting ready to open up a door, and on the other side of that door is a life that is so different than the one we're living right now. You know, it's going to be so different. It's going to open up to glory. That's what I really feel like the Lord's saying there. The door that he's getting ready to open, it's going to open up to the glory of God. Because just like he said to Martha, did I not tell you that if you continue to believe, you will see the glory of God? Do you know that the Lord highlighted that scripture to me back in 2000? Regarding promises and things that he'd spoken to me back then that I'm still waiting for. He said, if you continue to believe, you will see the glory of God. He just spoke that to me. What was it, yesterday morning? He was just like, listen, because I was asking the Lord, I was like, Lord, when are all these things going to happen? I know that's a foolish question to ask, whatever, but I just want to know. And then the Lord just, see, and here I have my thoughts about what I think the Lord's going to react, how he's going to be thinking about it. And then he begins to speak to me about it, and it's totally different than what I was thinking. And I was like, oh, like, you actually want to talk to me about this stuff. You want to share things with me. And he's like, this is the kind of heart I just want you to have while you're waiting. It's like, it's going to happen. It is going to happen. You just got to wait for it. And it's like, okay, sounds good. As long as you keep the encouragements coming, I can keep the believing running. You know what I'm saying? As long as you keep the gas in the tank, I can keep going around the track. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're my crew chief, I can keep going.
Well, I think that's all that we have for you guys today. We really did kind of bring in some of the other videos, but I do pray that
and some of the stuff we were going to talk about, we didn't.
Yeah, so
maybe that's for a later video.
That's, you know, the Lord, he leads, and
it's almost
by
as
his Spirit.
it's almost as if we're like not in charge.
Well, because we're not. But we do pray that you guys are blessed and continue to just believe, continue to just keep your hearts open, because God is going to come, and he is declaring from heaven just that he has freedom. That's actually one thing I didn't get to say about the freedom is, I've not watched it. I think I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I never watched through the full thing of Braveheart, the movie. But But the part where he just, I don't know.
27 times right here. No joke. That literally may not be an exaggerated number as much as you might think.
Yeah.
I watched that movie constantly for decades.
But there's just this part where he cries out freedom.
It's at the end.
And it's just like, he's just like, freedom. Yeah. And literally from this morning, since we started talking about freedom, like that just keeps popping into my head. And even our son, it was so funny. We were kind of ending God time, and I was just like looking at the notes, like, before we started to pray, actually. And it was like, oh, free, and I was like, I just kind of whispered like, freedom. And our son was like, oh, I was just thinking that in my head. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Just thinking about that scene from that movie.
And it was just
that he's not even seen.
Yeah.
I've just shown him that part before.
Yeah. But. And, but it's like, I really do. Like it said that Jesus said with a loud shout, Lazarus, come out. And I just believe that God is like, is ready to, he's shouting. He's like, I am declaring freedom so that this nation, so that you personally, so that families and cities can have this freedom in the Lord. And it's just like,
man's will is not going to get in the way.
Yeah.
There will be encrusted areas and continual pharisaical work, but it's not going to get in the way of what he's going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I just like this sense of just like freedom.
Yes, Lord, come on.
And just in the voice of the Lord. And so it's just ready. Like with Lazarus, Jesus is at the tomb. He's saying, let's remove the stone.
Come on.
And I am declaring freedom. I am calling out freedom for my people, and that they would be released from their bondage, released from all just everything that, whether it's physical healing, we need physical healing. So it's like release
from to their promises.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Just like in every area, body, soul, and spirit. Because
we say that a lot in this
we
family.
do. We talk about that all the time, of just like, that is what the Lord is speaking. He's speaking freedom. He's speaking jubilee. He is saying, like, that is what he wants. As you walk through those doors, your heart's, those doors open, and it's like that change of clothes. That's that going from death into life. And so
this is my testimony.
Exactly. We had that song the other night. We were listening to it, and the reason we were is I just kept hearing like the death.
Come on, you know you were going to get an addendum here.
Of course.
Welcome to the channel, Addendum Interruptus. She's Addendum, I'm Interruptus. How you doing?
So true. But yeah, so there's just that the Lord is just, he's like, yes, from death to life. That is going to be our testimony. That the testimony that Lazarus had where he's like, I was dead, but now I'm alive.
Come on.
And that bringing back to life sends you forward into just great freedom and joy and peace and deliverance and just a new way of experiencing life that you have never known before.
It's like I was bound, but now I'm free.
And so we're going to be learning, to live in a new way of life and walking in the new way of life. And it's going to be glorious. It's going to be with the Lord and just new experiences with him that have not been experienced before. Encounters with him, and just, I don't know, it's just a totally different way of living. You go from the desert to a garden, and you're gonna live differently just because of the scene changes. It's like, if you're in the desert, you have to live a certain way. But if you're in a garden that has rivers flowing from it and fruit off the trees and it's just lush and plentiful, you're going to live a totally different way.
See, and that's why you got to get your clothes changed. Because if you come into the garden with your wilderness knapsack or whatever you want to call it, you're going to see that fruit and you're going to be, ooh, whoa, that's a lot of fruit. Let me grab some. And you're going to start stuffing your bag. Because you still got that wilderness mindset. You got, look at all the rations. Let's put those in there. You know what I mean? But if everything's changed before you go into the garden, you might still have that trigger of like, whoa, look at all this. We need to grab this. Oh, wait a minute. I don't have any place to put it. It's like, because you don't need a place to put it. You don't need that mindset here. Just leave it on the tree. It's not going to die. It'll be right there. Quit checking your wallet. You know what I'm saying? It's still there, right where you left it. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't need to. You see what I'm saying? So it's going to take a time. There's going to take time. It's going to take time. That's what I meant to say, for the transition to get comfortable. You know?
Yeah, and I think that the Lord and His goodness and His wisdom, that's exactly what He's going to be doing. He's like, I'm going to transition my people into living into this new place of just dining with Him, learning to live with Him in a place of great joy, in a place that is the garden,
and resting.
And then from there He will move His people forward. And
there's going to be an honoring. You know, I feel like the Lord is saying your hope is not lost. It's not lost at all. You know, you walk by faith, not by sight. You live and breathe and have your being by the Spirit and the Word, not by anything else. You know, let my testimony be the thing that leads you, not others. You know, some of y'all, for real, you need to stop watching the news. I'm serious, because it's tainting your heart with what you think is possible. You know, and God's like, but that's okay. What I'm getting ready to do is going to be a manifestation of my sovereignty and majesty, and you're just going to have to decide what you want to do with what I'm doing. You know, so
yeah. So I think that really is it, and we just pray that you guys are blessed, and until next time, we will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.